This is better. Sorry about that. I just didn't set things up properly. Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for joining me. There we go. Got things so much for joining me. Just getting things set up. Sorry. All right. Give me a hello if you can hear me in the comments. Hi, Heather. How are you? All right. Well, it's about 3 minutes after 1, so I'll get started. Um, as I mentioned already, thank you so much for joining me. And a very special happy Thanksgiving to my American friends. I suspect that some of you are out doing some Black Friday shopping or shopping online, because today is one of the biggest days in retail. I am curious though, did any of you see a spike in bookings due to the Thanksgiving holiday weekend? Can you tell me in the comments below? Just going to give a second for the video to catch up. Just going to give a second for the All right. Well, thank you. If you don't know me, I want to start by telling you who I am. I'm an Airbnb superhost, and I am the creator of Airbnb Uncovered.com. I've been a superhost for about 5 years. Actually, I got superhost status in my very first quarter. And in that time, I've hosted nearly 3,500 guests. And I've generated about over 7 figures in revenue from Airbnb. Excuse me. On my YouTube channel and on my Instagram feed, I uncover some of the best kept hosting secrets and share with you really everything that I've ever learned after those 5 years and 3,500 guests. I also want to tell you a little bit about my free upcoming masterclass, which is taking place next week. And on the masterclass, I'm going to be uncovering 3 hacks that I've been using personally to earn more during the pandemic and actually generate a nice profit. I will be going way deeper on this masterclass than I would ever do on my YouTube channel. So I want to make sure that you join me. And so I'm going to put a link to register for the upcoming masterclass in the comments. There's a few sessions next week. So be sure to join me. I'm just going to pause for a second. So I have Janet who is saying that she likes my channel and she recently got a new apartment. Then she's going to turn it into a short-term rental and she gets a new guest in 2 weeks. Well, that is very exciting, Janet. And unfortunately, Heather is telling me she got a spike in cancellations. Heather, I think you're going to like this video because, so I do know Heather. We talk now and again, and I understand that where Heather is, there is a lockdown and a real serious spike in coronavirus cases. So I think that, Heather, you will like this live today because we're going to talk about long-term hosting longer-term guests. And so I'm not talking about switching to a long-term rental, just longer-term guests. So stays that are longer than 28 days, but they're not a year long or anything like that. And I'm going to touch on three things. So the first is that we need to understand who are long-term guests. And so if we understand who they are, then we can better market to them. Then the second thing I'll talk about is how to prepare for long-term guests and what to do when they're staying with you. And I think I've got a couple tricks in there that you may not have thought of. And those are going to help you towards the end of your long-term stay to attract new guests. And then the third and final thing we'll talk about today is pricing. And I have a great hack in there that I've been using over the last 6 or 7 months, and it has worked beautifully. Janet says excited is what I intended to write. And that makes sense, Janet. I understood what you meant. So without further delay, let me dive into our first topic, which is who are these longer term guests and why are they staying longer term? I'm going to use some stats from a recent Airbnb study that they did in October on long-term guests. And I'm just going to pull up my notes because I don't want to misquote any of the stats. So the first stat is that 46% of long-term guests have visited 3 or more times in the past, or they've lived in the location previously, or they currently live there. So that's telling us that our past guests can be a great source of long-term guests since they probably visited in the past. They may have stayed with you. And so what I'm recommending and what I've been doing is reaching out to some of those guests that I've had, the ones that I really enjoyed, to see if they are coming back and if they do need somewhere to stay a bit longer. And then I offer them a coupon or a discount for an upcoming longer term stay, maybe 10% off or something like that. You can issue this offer or communicate broadly to everybody who has stayed with you in the past. Or if you've got fewer guests and a really good memory, then you can kind of think through the ones that you know might be interested. So people who are coming to the area to visit family, or friends or loved ones or something like that. That actually leads us to the second stat from Airbnb's recent survey on longer term guests, and that is that 54% of longer term guests know someone in the destination where they're going. So it's either a loved one or a family or friend. And that gives us another hack, and that is that our own friends and family can be a source of bookings. And that also gives rise to the potential for an off-platform booking. If you're set up for that and if you have the right insurance, then that can be a great way to increase your revenue as well. And the last stat that I want to point out is that 65% of longer-term guests staying on Airbnb are working or studying from their Airbnb. And you're probably not surprised about that. And I even did a video about how to specifically attract these guests. But quickly, these guests are looking for high-speed internet and a comfortable place to work. And so high-speed internet is pretty easy. If you don't already have it, then just call your telco provider and get them to upgrade your speed. And setting up a home office doesn't have to be complicated either. During the pandemic, I think it's perfectly acceptable to grab something from IKEA, or Kijiji is always a great source, pandemic or not. The reason I say IKEA with some hesitation is because you want to make sure that your Airbnb is different from others. And so lots of hosts go to IKEA to get stuff, and then you end up with similar looking Airbnbs. So it can kind of be it's not as great. But in a pandemic, if you need a desk, then absolutely go there. All right. I just wanted to check in with the comments, and we're still good to keep going through. So I'm going to go over these, um, go over long-term hosting longer-term guests, and then I'll open up for some questions at the end. Janet is asking, is 200 megabits internet considered decent? And Janet, I would say yes, absolutely. Anything over 100 megs is enough. What you want to make sure is that that your guests can do Zoom meetings and not get a bunch of buffering. And then conversely, if they're watching Netflix or something like that, they're also, again, going to want to be able to watch in HD and not get a bunch of buffering. So let me continue on. So the second thing I wanted to talk to you about is what to expect during a longer term stay and how to prepare for one. So the first thing around how to prepare for one is you're going to want to think about all of the maintenance items that you need to do in your home over the next 2 to 3 months. And you want to schedule those upfront and get them done as fast as possible before your guests come in so you don't interrupt them. The other thing you need to kind of be preparing for is that when your guests leave, your turnover is going to be a lot bigger. So you're going to have all the regular cleaning and sanitization that you normally have after a guest leaves. But then on top of that, you're going to have monthly activities and possibly quarterly activities that you normally do. And then add to that, you are probably going to have to rearrange things in your space because your guest has arranged things so that they can be the most comfortable there, which is great. But just think about that when you're accepting longer term guests, that you need to make space in your calendar to do that. You may also want to increase your cleaning fee to cover those added costs. One big hack that a lot of hosts don't do, and they should be doing, is that if you have a longer term stay that's, say, maybe 1 month or 2 months, 6 weeks, something like that, you're actually going to want to snooze your calendar inside Airbnb. And you're going to snooze your calendar for 2 reasons. One of them is that you want to preserve your search ranking. The thing is that while your listing is booked, it doesn't have any availability. So guests that are searching on Airbnb will not see your property because it doesn't have availability. And that's going to cause your property's search ranking to go down because it's not getting any activity. So if you snooze your listing for part of your longer term stay, you're going to avoid what naturally happens on Airbnb when a place isn't available, is that it falls in search. And the second reason you want to snooze your listing is because when you unsnooze it, you will get a natural bump in search results similar to what you get when you initially listed your listing. The catch, though, with snoozing is that, so if you're thinking to yourself, okay, so if I snooze my listing and I unsnooze it, and then I get a natural bump on search, why don't I do that every day? Well, the catch is that Airbnb knows that you can do that, and they don't want you to do that, and so they don't give you the natural bump. You have to leave some space between when you snooze and unsnooze. Goodness, I can hardly speak today. The third thing that we wanted to look at is pricing. And so if you're kind of like me, you probably don't have a lot of experience pricing for a longer term, and I most certainly didn't 7 months ago. The obvious thing here is that you're going to want to lower your price to attract a longer term guest, but there's some tricks to how you do that. And so if you want a longer term guest, the first thing you want to do is increase your minimum nights on Airbnb. And so you might move it to 3 days, or you might move it to 7 days or 28 days, depending on what you want. Then go in and increase your prices so that you are really discouraging short-term renters if you, say, have a 3-day minimum. But after that, you want to go into your calendar settings and add a long-term discount. So add a discount under weekly and under monthly, which will bring your price back down to a lower price that is in accordance with what you can earn or what you can charge for a monthly stay. So I do that, and then I let that sit for maybe a week or two, and then those prices will get a little bit old. See, normally when we're doing short-term rentals, we're varying our price every day or every couple of days, up and down, up and down. It's not as easy to do that with a longer term, with long-term pricing. So what I do is I increase my price, discount it down, and then I leave that for a week or two, and then I come back in and I actually go back and set my daily posted price to the discounted price that I set before, and I remove the discount. And then I let that sit for a week or two. And if I still don't have a long-term booking, then I switch it back. I raise the daily prices, and then I add a discount so that they come back down. And the reason I'm doing this is because I want Airbnb to be showing strike-through pricing on my listing. So in the first scenario with a discount, Airbnb will show what the price should be and then what it is with the discounts. When you lower your prices all at once, Airbnb will also show that there's a price drop. And both of those things are great tactics to use when trying to attract guests. And we do use those generally when we're doing regular short term, but you need to let it sit for a little bit when you're trying to do it with longer term. I just want to pause and see if that makes sense to people. I didn't think my explanation was as succinct as I wanted. So let me just summarize. When I'm pricing long-term, I use two strategies. One strategy is to increase my nightly rate and then use a discount to bring it back down to what a normal monthly rate should be. I let that sit for a week or two, and then I switch over and I take my discounted rate and I apply that daily, and I remove the discounts. And then I alternate back and forth until I get a longer term guest. I'm just checking for some questions. While I'm waiting for that, I want to remind you that next week I'm doing a masterclass on 3 hacks to earning more during the pandemic. And the masterclass is going to be amazing. I'm working on it right now. I am sharing things that I would never share on my YouTube channel. And so you are definitely not going to want to miss. And I'll put the link to register in the comments again. And the link is also on the screen below where I'm talking. Let me just check my notes. I think that is everything I wanted to. Oh, I did want to also ask, can you tell me in the comments if you saw the video on hosting longer term guests that I posted to YouTube last night? Can you just tell me yes or no? Just giving a second for the feed to catch up with the comments. All right. Okay. Thanks, Janet. I'm trying to figure out how much I should vary the content in the live versus the YouTube. So I'll have to keep monitoring. And that was it. I wanted to go over in terms of the three main things to do when you are attracting longer term guests. So I'd love to open it up for some questions. Just type them in the comments and I will put them up on screen when they come in and I will give you my best answer. Again, so the feed is lagged by about 30-45 seconds. So when I say something, by the time it gets to you and I see your comment, it's usually 30 seconds. So just be patient. I have been trying all kinds of different things to get that lag down. I'm now using a wired connection to the internet to try to make that uh, to reduce the lag. It seems to be helping a little bit. Wired headphones, see if that helps. Janet has a question, so I will put it up on screen. But while I'm answering Janet's question, because of that lag, please continue to ask questions. And then as long as there's questions, we won't have as much lag. So Janet is asking, since I'm a superhost, do you change the shower liner after each guest? Great question. It actually came up last week too. So I am now changing the shower liner after every guest because of the pandemic. And I think that based on all the research that I've done about how coronavirus spreads and droplets, respiratory droplets is the primary way. So I'm thinking that in the shower, you've got little mist droplets of I was going to call it rain, but water coming out of the shower. And I think that respiratory droplets can easily attach to that and then they end up all over. So yeah, I do change the shower curtain, just the inside liner between every guest. I've gone to the dollar store to get some really cheap ones that I just toss in the garbage. Not the most environmentally friendly, I admit. If you do have time, you can, like most of those plastic or nylonish curtain liners are washable, so you can just throw them in the wash with some bleach and then put them back up. Prior to coronavirus, I was probably changing the curtain liner maybe every, I don't know, 2 or 3 guests monthly for sure. I hope that answers your question, Janet. Heather wants to know, what cleaning do I do with longer term rentals? So Heather, it's akin to a spring cleaning for sure. I do all the regular cleaning and sanitization, but then I'm also checking on air intakes for the furnace or the air condition, vacuuming under beds, giving a really deep clean, cleaning the fridge out entirely if the guest has used the fridge a lot. You almost take, so I'm in the middle of one right now, and unfortunately the guest didn't do a great job of cleaning while he was there, and so there's just dust all over everything. The stove needs a good scraping because I have those flat top stoves that when the pots boil over, they make a burny crust on it. So vacuuming under the bed, under the couch, vacuuming the couches, checking for washing walls if they need to be, polishing stainless steel more than I would have to, windows, mirrors, just a real good spring cleaning between longer term guests. Oh, Heather says that the cheap curtain liners smell awful. I haven't noticed that, Heather. And normally the first thing I notice when I walk into any one of my listings is, what does it smell like? So don't think my nose is gone bad on me. So maybe, Heather, just try a different brand of the cheaper curtain liners. Or like I said, you can wash them in between guests with some bleach or hot water. I mean, hot water and soap would be just fine. Heather is asking if I do any cleaning during a long-term stay. That's a great question. In two of my listings, I don't. I do make my cleaner available to go in. Unfortunately, this last guest didn't take me up on that. And I do co-host a very high-end property, a multi-million dollar penthouse suite. And we, to date, have not been including cleaning, but I think starting with our next reservation in that unit, we are going to start making 2-week cleaning mandatory, just so we can stay on top of it, because it's a huge space. If it's filthy all over, then it takes 2 days, 2 full days with two people cleaning. So I think we're going to implement a mandatory cleaning and schedule our cleaning lady every 2 weeks, and we would be charging the guests on top of their fixed fee. Janet wants to know, what are my thoughts about offering robes as an amenity? That's a good question, and I have never done it. I've definitely used robes in hotels when I used to stay in hotels years ago. I think it's up to you. The one thing to consider about robes is, I guess there's a couple of considerations. One, make sure they're white so that you can wash them in hot water and bleach them, which leads me to the second consideration. That is, if you are going to provide robes, you're either going to need to get enough that you can switch them between guests without having to wait for them to be clean. Actually, let me back up. So if you put robes in, make sure they're white, make sure that you can bleach them and wash them, which leads to the second issue, which is washing them. So I don't know how big your space is, Janet. You said it was an apartment. But one thing about running an Airbnb is you have to think about how long it's going to take you to do the laundry between guests, and robes take up a lot of space in a washing machine. So if you do provide robes, either make sure you have enough time between guests to wash and dry them and put them back, or that you have backups that you can bring a new set when you do the turnover and bring the dirty ones with you and wash them and then bring them back. You might also you might want to fold them a certain way so that you know if they've been used or not, and then you wouldn't have to wash them between guests, or put them in a plastic bag, a sealed plastic bag. Janet saying, yeah, the washing, yeah. So I probably wouldn't. I mean, I don't right now, and that's because one of the key things with how I run my Airbnbs is about the laundry and making sure that we can get laundry in and out within an hour and a half, so that we're not lugging laundry with us and bringing it home or sending it to an external cleaner, because that adds up. Heather is telling us that her guests use robes frequently, and you have a hot tub. Yeah, absolutely. I think if you have a hot tub, robes are a must, because they're big and bulky, and they're hard to bring with you. Imagine traveling on a plane with a big bulky robe. You certainly wouldn't want to pay to check your luggage because you had to bring a robe. So I think, yeah, if you have a hot tub. Also, Heather, you're saying you host in your home, and that makes sense too. You have a little bit more flexibility in how you can do the laundry. I mean, you could ask your guests the morning that they check out for their robes, so you could get them washed and ready to go for the next guests. And Janet is saying that she thinks it's nice to have, and I fully agree. As long as you are able to either get some backups and you don't mind washing them at home, or you have enough space between guests, then yeah, it's a great idea. It's just you want to make sure that you can implement it within the constraints of a turnover. Gonna give the feed a second to catch up. I think we might have some new people join. So Welcome. We are in the question and answer part of the live today. Earlier on, I talked about attracting and hosting longer term guests. And so I did a video on that you can watch on my YouTube channel, or you can go back and just rewind the live and get the information that I talked about there. There's some really great stuff about how to price and rise in search while also pricing attractively for longer term guests. I also talked about who they are, and I used a recent article the results of a study that Airbnb did to help us understand who is actually staying longer term. So you want to check that out for sure. And I also talked about my upcoming free masterclass. And on that masterclass, I'm going to be giving the 3 hacks that I've been using to earn more during the pandemic and to generate a nice profit over the last 6 or 7 months. And what's really exciting about the masterclass is that I'm going deeper than I would normally ever go on my YouTube channel. So please don't miss that, which is coming up next week. And the link, I will put it in the comments now. Janet or Heather, can I answer any questions? Any more questions? Janet, where is your new Airbnb? You told us it was an apartment, but not where you are. I know that Heather operates out of Washington, the state of Washington. And I don't know what the name of the town is, Heather. I know it's a smaller town. It's close to Seattle. Heather's spot is beautiful, by the way. I've not been there, but I've definitely seen her listing and the pictures of her home. It's fantastic. I've not been there. Just gonna see if anybody else has any questions. Janet is thanking me for the live. I'm absolutely glad to do it. Janet, I'm wishing you nothing but the best luck in your upcoming Airbnb, and I hope that you will join me live next week. I think that if you're new to hosting, there's going to be a lot of great information in there for you. So I've kind of set it up. I'm showing you what I've been doing, but I also want to make it that everybody at all levels of hosting will get something out of it. Oh, in Naples, Florida. I have a friend who lives in Naples. Thank you, Heather. It's great to have you on live today. Just as a quick point, sorry, Janet, I just want to tell Heather, I don't know if she noticed, but our mutual friend, Kate, had a big announcement today. I got her email. I don't know if you did as well, but I'm sure you can check it out on her page, on her website, Dr. Kate King. Janet, I absolutely would check yours and give you some feedback. I'm happy to do it now if you'd like, or you can email it to me, or yeah, you can either email it to me or you can post it in the comments and I can have a look. So I think I figured it out. It's Facebook that has the lag. YouTube is like spot on. You registered when you watched my video earlier. Let me check the comments on that video. Oh, gosh, I'm not with it today. You registered for the masterclass. Got it. Thank you. But yeah, Janet, do you want to? Do you want to do your listing review now? Yeah, Janet, just put your listing in the comments. I may even be able to share my screen while we look at it. Oh, one thing about posting your listing, um, you may have to back out some of what comes in the URL. So for instance, if I show you one of my listings, um, so Janet, I think you can just put it in the comments. So see how mine, when I share one of mine with you, um, I last week someone told me they couldn't get theirs to share properly in the comments, and it was because they had a whole bunch of like the URL was too long. So what you need to do is just go into preview mode on, sorry, not preview mode. Go into Airbnb, click listings, and then click share. So listings. Goodness, Airbnb is slow today. You click, so click listings, click preview listing, and then click share. All of these are on the top right, and just do a copy link, and that will get it to me. And then copy that link into the comments, into the chat. Or Janet, if it's easier to you, you can email it to me and I can still look at it now. Great, thank you, Janet. Let me see. Oh, okay. I think I can make this work. So, Janet, if you look on screen, I'll show you what I did. So I went to, oh, not this window. CA, switch to hosting. So here from my hosting screen on Airbnb, I went listings, and then I picked one, opens a new tab. And then if you click preview listing, and then click share, all of them at the top right, and then click copy link, and then put that in the comments. Oh, you're on your cell phone. Okay. Yeah, that is probably hard. And what's super annoying about Airbnb is I can't just type your title in and it will come up. And if you want, Janet, you can email it to me and I'll have a look. I can respond by email with some comments. On mobile, just trying to think here. On mobile, you would go Airbnb, then at the bottom listings, and then you would tap it. And then actually right at the top, I don't know if you can see that, right at the top here is the share button. So if you click that, whoops. Yeah, it comes up on the bottom and you can just copy the link here. If you can, oops, goodness, why can't I? There we go. A bit awkward trying to get my cell phone out and show you on screen. Oh, you got it. All right. Just waiting for Janet to send us the link. All right, Janet. Janet saying she got it. Janet, did you email it or it's coming in the comments? You sent it above. I don't see it. Can you try again? Yeah, I'm not seeing that. Janet, are you able to send it again? No, Janet, I don't see your link, unfortunately. Maybe just plop it in an email and mail it to Matt at airbnbuncovered.com. Plop it in an email. Yeah, I don't. That's okay. Thanks. Heather says she has to go. Janet, for some reason, they're not. Those links are not showing up in the comment. So you may have to just plop it in an email and send it to me. Thank you again for coming, Heather. I'll speak to you soon. Yeah, I think you're right, Janet. It's not showing on the chat. I don't know if it's like a filtering thing that YouTube does that doesn't want it to go through. I'm not sure why it's not coming through. We did have problems last week, but we somehow got it through. But just if you want, just email it if you can. Janet, are you able to email it? You will send it. Okay. Do you want to do it now or do you want me to reply later? I know it's hard from a phone. Sorry, Janet, did you say you want to send it now and you want to look at it now, or do you want to do it later? I just don't want to keep the stream going if you're planning on sending it later. Oh, you're going to send it right now. All right. Okay, let me check my email. Oh, there we go. All right. Let me share my screen, but not that. That. Okay. Do that. And then that. All right. Wow. Beautiful spot. Let me just have a quick look at your pictures. Beautiful decor. Oh, wow. Nice and cozy. Looks great. Oh, huge. Okay. Yes, great spot. Instapot. I have an Instapot. Love it. Beautiful bedroom. Great looking bathroom. Two beds. Master. Oof. That's quite a bathroom. And a huge closet. Wow. Laundry. Beach. Great. That looks good. Time home. Committed to clean. Nice rules. So checking out lockbox. Okay. Nice. Okay, two members. Amazing. All right. Let me turn this off. Turn that off. Oops. Okay. So Janet, your place looks great. A couple things that I noticed right off the bat. One of them is that your profile needs to be fully verified. So that's going to help with search rankings. Another thing is that your house rules are very short. And I think that you're going to find that without some more restrictive house rules, you could get into some situations that could have been prevented by using more house rules. I have kind of a really long list of house rules that I can share with you. So let me just get that for you. So, oops. Let me get that. There we go. So here's the guide where you can get some of the house rules that you can scrape out and put them into your house rules section. What else did I want to tell you about? Not that. I might play with your title a little bit. So I'm just trying to think out loud. So if your title, right now it's currently cozy condo close to the beach in Naples. I think you can take off in Naples because that will be, it should be obvious based on where the guest is searching. So you might want to say family retreat minutes to the beach, 6 people, or something like rare walk up condo with pool minutes to the beach. So you want to try to play up in your title, you want to play up your points of differentiation. So what makes your condo different than others in that complex? I did notice, just curious, the $250 pet fee, is that because you do a week long, like 7 days is your minimum, so you're charging $50 a day for a pet? Is that how it works? And you're using strict policy, which is good. Strict cancellation policy. Janet, it's not the listing that is verified, it's your profile that needs to get verified. And you do that through, let me just remember. Actually, here, Janet, I'll share my screen and show you how you do it. Um, so up here in the top right-hand corner, if you click on that, you're going to see account. And what you need to do is under personal info. Oops, not that. Probably shouldn't be sharing that. Work notifications. It's here somewhere. It was there. Let me just turn this off for a sec so I can see where it is without exposing all of my personal details on the web. Um, back payments. I thought for sure it was on personal info. Oh, it is under personal info. I just got too worried that all of my personal info was being broadcast. So yeah, if you go to the to get your profile verified, just go up to the top right hand corner, click on account, and then personal info. And about halfway through there, you're going to see government ID, and that's where you want to upload a picture of your government issued ID. So that helps with search, but it also helps guests build trust with you. Okay, so Janet says that the $250 pet fee is normal in the area. So that's perfectly fine. If you can do that, then absolutely. I don't know if it would fly in my local market, but if you're saying that what you're doing is you're shampooing the entire carpets and the sofa between guests, if they bring a furry friend, then yeah, that totally makes sense. Let me think. What else? So we talked about your title. You may want to look at your I think I would play a little bit with your description. I think I would highlight things like things that it is family friendly, that there's 3 bedrooms, and also because of the pandemic, I also think you want to be just highlighting the fact that it's fully cleaned and there is enhanced sanitization going on between guests. Just be sure you don't say coronavirus free, because Airbnb will not be happy with that. And try to tell a story to in your description, something like perfect for families, 2-story condo with a walk-in pool on site, or pool on site, minutes to the beach. Do you have You do have instant booking on, which is good. Um, Awesome. Okay, awesome. I got it. I follow. So you're saying that for snowbirds, so they stay for a while. And yeah, of course, you would want to clean the carpets between guests. My pleasure. And if you are looking to attract snowbirds, then say it in your title. Perfect for snowbirds or snowbirds, colon, um, 3 bedrooms or snowbirds, on-site pool, minutes to the beach, parking, or whatever their most important thing is. Snowbirds are probably driving down, although maybe they're not this year. I think most are flying because of the way that it's easier to get into the United States from Canada. I think it's easier by flight, so they may not be driving. But either way, if they're snowbirds from the northern states, so snowbirds, maybe it's spacious or 3 bedrooms, parking, pool. And one other thing I wanted to mention, if you're still there, Janet, I think you are. Play with the order of your pictures. So the way I do it is I put my most important picture first, which you have as a pool. So that would be a toss up for me between pool and the picture of your living space. And then do an overview of your home. So just do one picture of the living room, one picture of the kitchen, one bathroom, your master, your your 2 guests, and then go back and then start with all of the pictures that you have of each of the rooms. So in detail, so you would do 3 pictures of your living room, or all the pictures of your living room, all the pictures of your kitchen, all the pictures of your bedroom, and so on and so forth. All right. Well, we're about 10 minutes after 2. I try to keep these to about an hour long. If anybody else has a question, I'll stick around for maybe a minute or two to let the video feed catch up to the broadcasting feed that you're seeing. And then otherwise, well, thank you all for joining. Remind you about my free upcoming masterclass next week, which is where I will be sharing the 3 hacks that have really gotten me through the pandemic. And I'll be going step by step through how to use them and implement them into your business. And it's going to be more detailed than what I would ever offer in any of my YouTube videos. So you're going to want to make sure to join me and to join me live. The link is shown on screen right now, and I will put it into the comments. Whoops, one last time. Let me just get it for you. Not that. There we go. Like that. Janet, one last thing before we sign off, if your snowbirds are Canadian, I have a number of family members who are snowbirds. I'm not sure they're driving this year because, like I say, the border restrictions. I understand that it's harder to cross the border by car if you're going for a longer term, if you're not a US citizen. And so many of them are opting to go by air because there are fewer questions at the airport. All right. Well, thanks again, everybody. I hope to see you all on one of my master classes next week. I know I'll see Janet for sure. Thank you, Janet. Take care. I hope you have a happy Thanksgiving.